Hey everyone, this is Kevin Voiton from Flux Makerspace. Today I wanted to go do a quick video. I get a lot of questions about why people should want to learn software development and be a developer. And today I wanted to just talk briefly what it's like to be a developer. A lot of times people think being a developer is all about coding real fast. I'm in, let's get this hack going. Great, we're coding fast. We're all about doing things very quickly, when in reality, this is the only a small portion of it. A lot of times, it's most of the time you're looking for errors and trying to solve things through using Google and trying to read things about trying to understand what the context is, how to ask questions, and the development is actually only a small piece of it. It's more understanding, how to solve answers rather than actually having the answer. And so, a lot of times I hear a lot of people learning development, they get very frustrated early on because the learning curve is very steep with learning development. So what is it like to be a developer is one, your first goal is to find context about what you're learning. One key I hear a lot of people when they're learning development is that they try to get really into understanding what they're learning when really you just have to believe things work. Like as we're coding, a lot of times people might be like, oh, how does this work? And then as soon as you start thinking that, you get in trouble. And so one good example, it's just really great to just use tools that are working rather than trying to get deep into them. So, what it's like to be a developer is I would say it's about 40% coding, 30% troubleshooting, and another 30% of just learning more and helping others. And so these kind of getting into development, a lot of people think, oh, I'm coding all the time, but really you have to develop core skills in many different aspects, and including but not limited to development, but also just good, fundamentals. And so, why do we want to learn coding and why do we want to be a developer? Is one, it teaches you in-demand job skills, so you can get paid. That's always a good thing. So you can make good money. You get lifelong skills, and you also can develop your own ideas without having to pay someone. And I got into development primarily before number 3, and then these two kind of come, as a fact as you get better. And the goal is to be a beginner, which is probably this, developing your own ideas, and then as you skill up, you can get paid for it. But some keys of success to being successful in coding, some things to be mindful of is that I see a lot of people get into it, and a lot of people get frustrated early on. Is one, how can you be successful? Is learn for the sake of learning. So we should want to learn coding not because of the end goal of something, but because it's actually intellectually stimulating and we actually want to do it. Another thing that I found is very helpful is give first or help others first. So by helping others learn, you actually learn a lot better yourself, and that's a really key concept of learning how to code and be better of a developer. And ultimately, as you're coding, teaching and creating a strong culture of how to code is very important. So, the things that are more, as a developer, the things that are more important than technical knowledge is creating a culture of innovation and a good fundamentals of culture. And so that's what these are. So it's helping others first. It's take a mentality of abundance over one of scarcity. And so what is this? So this means, you always want to try to think more, how to do more with less. Try to, always try to think of, hey, how can I help others, and take a mentality of abundance, and we'll go into that a little bit later. And then the last thing is find low risk environments to fail in. So these skills here translate not only for coding, but it's also to be a successful entrepreneur. And so why are these things at the core? I really need to get spell check. At the core of being a successful developer is also being a good fundamental as a business person founder. And so if you don't have these things, you won't really find success in learning coding. And then the last thing I didn't write here is surround yourself with people who So these are the greatest things for any sort of thing that you're trying to learn or do development on. So, to think about what is it to be successful, what we try to do at Flux Makerspace is we teach everyone core culture, core skills, and then also core communication. And so we call those the 3 C's. And those are culture, communication, and core skills. So each of these are dependent on each other, and if you don't have their strong culture, or communication, or core skills, it's very hard to find success. And so one of the core mantras at Flux Makerspace is this term here, which is to find low-risk environments to fail in, which is a really easy concept to say, but it's a really hard conversation thing to bring into your daily life. And so, I'd actually put this as number 1 here. Creating low risk environments to fail in, that basically means, hey, let's build apps, let's find ways so that we can create low risk environments to learn, grow. And a lot of things I see people struggle with is they always want to be successful, right? And I think there's grace in failing, that if you're able to fail gracefully, it's the best way to learn. So what we always say is fail fast, right? And fail in a way that's a learning experience. At schools, we're always taught to never fail, and entrepreneurs, we teach ourselves to fail fast and fail often. Because if you're failing early and often, you're not continuing to go down that path, which is maybe not an ideal path. We'd much rather much earlier on learn something and then go a different path rather than going down a path that may not be the best path. So what we really want to do is how to be a good developer, good founder, good entrepreneur, is really focus on these 3 things, right? And these 3, this is the culture. The core skills is what I would call development, probably web development. The core skills is knowing how to use Git and GitHub. Infrastructure, so how to set up servers. And doing databasing and all these other things. So the core skills, we could always learn that, but we need a good foundation of culture and communication. And so on the culture side, that's what these are here. But on the communication side is that we all, when you're talking with people in your community, we all need to say the same words, so that when we say something like, hey, I want to help you, we know what that means. And it's not, hey, I want to help you if you help me. What does those words mean? And so the ways that you be successful as a developer is really trying to help others and trying to create an environment where you're growing and you're trying to create something great. And so this was just a quick episode about a lot of times I see a lot of people want to become a developer for the wrong reasons. The first thing that I see a lot of people is, hey, I want to create a startup that's going to make $1 million, $10 million, which is a great reason to get into development. But that if you don't achieve that, a lot of people just say, all right, this wasn't for me, right? So what we could have done was we could have created a lower risk environment to fail in. And what that means is, hey, maybe your startup idea is going great, and let's say it fails. Well, now you get to walk away with lifelong skills in technology, the network that you've built from doing this startup, and hopefully you haven't raised tons of money, because that's a high risk environment to fail in. And so what we want to create is low risk environments. And so the next startup that person does, they'll be able to do it in half the time, with half the efforts, with twice the resources, because they've learned these skills throughout. So just always think about how you can take things one step at a time. Really try to de-risk things as you're learning, and just do it for the sake of learning, right? And one thing I found is that if you do something that you're interested in doing, it kind of isn't really work. So you're able to spend more time doing it. You're doing it because it's fun. I started developing because I wanted to start a company, and now 7 or 8 years later, I'm doing it full time. I help others in their technology and growing high growth companies. And so, at the end of the day, it's just all about getting those core fundamentals. Because when my company failed, which really never really took off. But instead of me saying, well, this isn't for me, I said, hey, now I have all these great skills. It was a low risk environment to fail in. I raised $0, and I was able to get a job, a few months later in technology, because I was able to teach myself a lot of this stuff. So just something to think of as you're trying to become a developer or entrepreneur. Try to always create low risk environments to fail in, and try to really think about that in a mantra. Right? I like to say that to myself with every conversation I'm having. And so ultimately, we want to scale things up over time. We want to build core skills, communication, and culture. So that's what we do at Flux Makerspace every day. We've had Flux Makerspace is our technology nonprofit that teaches software development, incubates local companies, and this is kind of the core of what we do and what we find to be successful. So absolutely. So keep on trucking out there, everyone. And just wanted to do a quick conversation here, because these questions I get asked almost on a daily basis. So hopefully it's a little helpful for some of you out there, and thanks so much. Okay, bye.